Hello! Welcome to another episode of 4x4 Explore. We are at David Creek campsite in the Atherton Tablelands, and it's a magnificent day. It's a beautiful spot here. But today we're going to speak about our new car. So what did we buy, Keith?
79 series Toyota Landcruiser workmate with 55,000 Ks on the clock.
Yep. V8?
V8, 4.5 litre.
He had the
dream car.
Yes, he had the GVM upgrade.
Yeah, it had a GVM to 3.9 and a bull bar.
So why didn't you buy a brand new car?
Because they've got DPFs.
Yes.
Didn't want one.
Yep. So we put one of the last model, right?
Yeah, it was constructed in July 2016,
yeah.
and the DPFs came in September. So it was only 2 months off the end of the line.
Yeah.
So the engine's good.
Yeah. So what are the main issue with these type of cars? Just very briefly.
From the standard.
Yes.
Rear track 100mm narrower.
Yep.
Clutch is very weak.
Yep. And the alternator?
The alternators, yep. Because of the position of it, it's right down on the right hand side lower of the engine, and it gets all the muck and shit and water and salt and sand, and renowned for failing.
The interior of the cab is
yeah,
extremely basic as
well,
well,
it's just,
right?
Well, it is. It's a workmate. It's a tool. It's not a luxury car like a Land Cruiser, 200 or 300 series.
Sure. Yeah. Excellent. Well, let's talk a bit more about what we have modified now. All right, Keith, then take us through the modification we've made.
Well, before we go any further, I'd like to say the car's filthy. We've been on the road for 5 weeks, and so it's just not the cleanest. Okay, where we start? We started with, there was a dual battery system in here, and we've taken that one out, and we've just replaced with a single battery and a relay, so that the camper gets cut off as soon as we turn the ignition off. We didn't want the camper drawing any power from the engine battery.
Century battery?
Yeah, I like Centuries. It's an overlander. The last 4 or 5 years you'll get out of a good battery.
Yeah. We want reliability, right, with this car.
Absolutely, yeah. We've also got the jump start if we ever did need it.
That's right.
Okay, we've put onto the engine an oil can, catch can, and a pre-fuel filter with a water catcher at the bottom, so we can visually see if there's any water in the fuel. At a glance, we've put a double shroud fan on the intercooler. Again,
why?
When you're doing off-road, low range, or in deep sand, soft sand, the engine's working like hell. It gets hot, and that helps keep the cooling down. I mean, the alternative is to put a front-mounted or a bigger intercooler on. This seems to work. We've put in breathers to Diff, transfer box, gearbox. All comes up to this one breather.
Yep.
From Black Hawk. And we've put in a 4-inch steel airbox.
Fully sealed, eh?
Fully sealed, yeah, waterproof. That's it runs a 200 series air filter.
Yep.
So get a lot more air, made a huge difference, along with the exhaust, getting the gas out.
Yep. And then obviously a bigger snorkel.
We've put a 4-inch Safari Armax snorkel on to get the air in, and the 3-inch stainless steel exhaust to clear it out. 3 inches is sufficient to get the gas away. So we've put a fully sealed alternator in, which was very expensive, so
which is water cooled as well.
Yeah.
So it has increased the amount of coolant that you put into the system,
yeah, there's
right?
about an extra 2 litres of cooling in the system because the alternator is water cooled from the cooling system.
Yep.
And it produces like 14 amps.
Yeah, it's quite good.
It's
yes.
a more powerful alternator, fully sealed, so that should never let us down again. That's
right. And when we're running the car and the camper at the back is quite low on battery, we can see that it's pulling 30 amps, feeding 30 amps to the camper, which is quite good.
Also, we put a JMACX brake booster on it. JMACX braided steel brake lines, larger rotary discs for the front brakes and pads, new brakes and bearings, all new bearings in the wheels.
Yeah. And what was your concern there?
Don't know what the car had done for 6 years.
Yeah. And you wanted more braking power because we're carrying up to 4 ton. Yeah. And does it work?
Yeah. But
it's not an option.
It's a different feeling when you brake with this on. It's much softer braking. You don't have to put the pressure on it. The machinery does the pressure for you.
Yeah, because there's a 2 valve, right?
Yeah.
2 membrane for the brakes to work.
Yeah. One pushes the other.
Yeah. Clutches.
We put a new clutch in. We put a.
And why is that?
Because they're renowned for not being strong. We're carrying a lot of weight. We put bigger wheels on.
Yep. Gearbox.
Gearbox. We put a new gearbox in from Gearbox 360.
Yep.
Which has a larger 5th gear.
Yeah, because originally when we started to drive the car, the 5th gear felt like we needed a 6th gear, right?
Yeah.
Because it was screaming a little bit at 110.
2,400 revs at 100.
Yes. Yeah.
And we put this gearbox in, and it's got stronger gates for the gears to lock into, so that's the first point of it. And then the second point is that the 5th gear is 20% bigger, which Toyota did in the later gearboxes, but not in this one.
So what is your saving in terms of RPMs then compared to the
100 k's
original?
an hour, the revs have dropped from 2004 to just under 2000.
Yeah, so it's 400 RPM less at
per
100
minute,
per minute at 100 kilometers an hour, which is which will lead to a significant fuel saving, right?
Should do, yeah. Well, we're getting averaged over what we've done 4,000 k's. We've averaged 16 litres per 100.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not light-footed.
And we've done beach. We've
started on Fraser Island. We had
Yeah.
a week on Fraser Island. We did around 700 k's.
Yep.
And then we drove back to Brisbane, and from Brisbane we drove
The Carnarvon
Gorge, Mount Moffat.
So a bit of
Carnarvon
four-wheel drive
Gorge.
track, right? So the
Yeah, and a lot of
16 litre.
dirt roads,
Right.
freeways. It's
Yeah.
had every type of road now.
Yeah. So
Low range work.
Yep. So probably if we were just keeping to motorway, we'll probably be down to 14 litre per 100k. But with the type of driving we're doing, we go a little bit higher. Let's go even further down the Diff.
We replaced the rear diff housing with a JMACX diff housing and axles. The Molly Chrome, they're I don't know how much stronger, but they're a lot stronger than the originals. Again, because the weight we're carrying, bigger wheels.
Yep.
I didn't want any axles snapping on me.
That's been a problem with those cars, isn't it?
When they get loaded up,
That's why when they're towing, etc., we've met few people with the rear diff breaking up or axle breaking up.
Axles,
Yeah. So.
Again, rebuilt the hubs, new seals, new bearings, all done.
Yep.
JMACX leaf spring hangers with a flat bottom on.
Yep.
gives you around 25mm more clearance under your springs, which is where these are renowned for getting caught up.
Yeah.
So, and they're nice and strong, and the way they work, they actually hold the leaf springs more together because the spring sits inside it.
Yep. Yeah.
So again, that's a stronger point.
So by doing that now, we've got the wheel spacing at the back, which is the same as the wheel spacing at the front.
Correct.
So on driving on the sand now, we don't have to create two tracks, right? We only create one track,
Yes.
which is again a little bit of fuel saving and less stress on the car.
It's a lot easier to drive.
Yeah.
And on road as well, the stability for cornering and bends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually better.
Yeah. What kind of wheels and tires did you put on then?
Mickey Thompson's, and we bought steel rims, nothing flash, but rated weight wise, the rims are rated to 1.5 ton each. So then I put two 85, 75 16s, Mickey Thompson's all-terrain. We've gone from BFG to Mickey Thompson. There was nothing wrong with the BFG, but in soft mud or anything they were absolutely useless. They're a much more aggressive tread.
But I think it made a massive difference, especially when we are driving on corrugation now. That was one of the problems we had with the Hilux, is that the corrugation was horrendous. This tire, we can deflate them sufficiently, and it's like there's no corrugation at all. It's absolutely awesome. What a big difference, isn't it?
Yeah, we can sit at 80 km an hour, no problem on corrugations.
Yeah.
With the Hilux, we were struggling to do 60.
Yeah, so awesome. All right, so let's move on to more of the the other part of the modification, which are really not to do with the car performance, but more with the usability of the car.
Yeah.
So you were saying struts to hold
Put
the
gas
bonnet?
struts on, yeah, because we're vertically challenged, my wife and I.
Yes.
So it's really nice just to be able to go like that.
Yes.
Rather than struggling to lift an incredibly heavy bonnet a long way up.
Yep.
We've kept the locking in there, so if we are working underneath it, we can still put this in.
Yeah. ARB compressor?
ARB double compressor and tank under the tray.
Yep.
The compressor's mounted where the dual battery used to be.
Yep.
That's what also put a relay in there for separate our batteries.
And we've got to switch inside to turn it on.
Yeah, the compressor works from the indoor.
Yeah. So it's been great. With the Hilux we had a portable compressor.
Yeah.
And it was a pain in the
very
butt to
heavy.
To carry it around, and having it was just really painful. This is a really great mod that we've done there. Very happy with that.
And the fuel tank, the air tank's really holding pressure.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Really good. Winch?
Yeah, worn 12 ton
yeah.
winch with an isolator here, operated from inside the cab or from a hand control. Yeah,
and it works. We've tried it on Fraser a couple of times to get us out of problem.
Well, we got stuck trying to get into a campsite and that pulled us up.
Yep.
And we pulled the guy out of
Eli Creek.
Creek.
Spotlights.
We've put ARB Solus twin spotties on.
Which was what we had on the Hilux.
Yeah.
And they work great.
Recovery points down at the front.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Not overwhelmed with them.
Yeah. You haven't put anything to protect the underbody to protect?
Yeah, just
steel plate?
Just for the radiator.
Yeah.
The front.
Yeah.
Not the rest of it. And it's just got standard protection for the box underneath.
Okay. So moving on to the side, so we've changed the mirror.
Yeah, we put whatever they're called, clear view, yeah,
Clear view.
No electric, no indicators, just a basic clear view mirror.
Yeah, well, the other one was non-electric anyway, so, and it was really useless. Yeah. Rock sliders?
No, they're not rock sliders. They're a steel step. They're halfway between a rock slider and a step.
Yeah.
But they're very strong.
Yeah, and they go well underneath the boxes as well.
Yeah, they go right back underneath the toolboxes to protect that, so you're not going to get stuck on a rock between your rear wheel and your rock sliders.
Yeah.
Oh, Oricom, we put,
put
our radio back in.
Yeah, we put that's the radio we had on the Hilux as well, so we just reinstalled that one. No need to...
I think that's it for the engine, really.
Yep, cool. Let's talk about the tray. Oof, yeah. It fell off.
Fell off. It's an aluminium heavy duty tray. We had it custom made by Dynamic Engineering in Harvey Bay. They made our last tray. They also made the camper.
Yep.
So they've altered the height of the camper for us and made the tray.
So we've got boxes.
Front toolboxes on both sides.
Yes. And then a full tray, which is is it water seal? I don't know, but it's definitely dust proof.
Keeping clean and
yeah. And good. It slides all the way, so it goes pretty much all the way along the back. So it'll give us a lot of room to store things, which is quite nice.
Really. All the weight in the canopy basically is from here forwards.
Yes.
And then, because we didn't want to put any more weight on the back of the vehicle, learning from what we had with the Hilux, we've put the spare wheel up at the front rather than bringing the box right to the front. That's 50 kilos, because on the opposite side there we've had a new toolbox made.
Yeah.
Canopy box made.
That's right.
Loaded, that's for our kitchen, our food, our tools. Which weighs around 60-70 kilos, so it balances the car out really well.
This side is not quite finished. We are going to do something. We don't know what yet, but we'll probably put a sort of tap or something to be able to put things in there, like wood, bins, shovel, things which are dirty that we don't really necessarily want inside the camper. But we haven't really find the best way, and we need to go and talk to a few people to see what we could do. Inside the camper, we've invested in a new fridge freezer. It's a King's slide on or slide out fridge freezer. Awesome, really good. So we've been using it now for 3 weeks. We set it as a freezer, so it's on -10, so that's the lowest it can go to. But it's been great. It's been keeping things frozen. We haven't been in the heat yet. It hasn't been very hot where we are. It does sweat a little bit in the morning, so I probably need to put a bit of insulation on the front door. But what this has allowed us to do is to be able to create a shelf here, so it allows us to put things on top. Again, this is the rest of it is really as per the original. I did make some shelf previously to be able to store things underneath and being able to grab them out fairly easily. So that hasn't really changed. All the modifications that I've made a sort of rack to hold our shoes down. So it's very simple. It's a basically wooden frame. And I've just put a fairly large elastic band there, so we can then, store our shoes that way. It's a very simple way to utilize this space here, which was not really well utilized before. And I've also put like a sort of broom holder, so we can have our broom to clean up our solar panel. The rest of it is extremely box standard. We have our poo-poo box in here that we store, and it just fits right underneath perfectly, so there's no risk of spillage or anything. And that is pretty much all that we've done on this side. So this is the kitchen side of the Tommy camper. I haven't really done much since our last video that we did with the Hilux, but very, very briefly, we've got the electrical panel on this side here. We've got a angle fridge, which has been working okay. It's a bit on the small side, but I think for the two of us, we've been managing all right, especially with the new King freezer on the other side. I think we've got enough storage for cold food. Above it, you know, the standard rack, paper towel rack from Tommy Camper, which works really, really well. And then on the side, on the other side, we've also got obviously the Tommy Camper box, which are great as well. So what we're trying to do in the kitchen here is all the light things we're keeping in here. So and the thing that we use every day. So coffee, tea bags, go at the top there. With one single stove go there as well. So if we need it, we can just pull it out very quickly. Any of the light food goes there, so cracker, chips, wraps, bread, just go there. And then in here we've got our fruit and veggie. We know the Tommy Camper is really well sealed, so we just keep our fruit and vegetable in those boxes there. We know they are not going to get into any dust. Now, as we mentioned before, when we got the tray made, what we realized is that the Tommy height was just a little bit too short to be able to sit it on the tray and not hit the front roll bar. So we had to put a 40mm spacer there. By doing that, we took the opportunity to make a slide-on table. So the table now, we can slide it in and out as far as we want. It goes quite a long way. It does get a bit dusty, so the first thing we need to do when we pull it out is obviously giving it a bit of a wipe, but it has been great. So, you know, anytime when we pull over now, we've got all of that kitchen bench to work with. So that's pretty much what we have done on the Tommy, so not much more modification. And then, as we mentioned before, we added this canopy box just to fit at the front, and that allows us to have the room that we lost from the fact that we've gone from a single cab, from a dual cab to a single cab. So with the Hilux, which was a dual cab, we had all the fronts, the back seat to store things. We decided to go with a single cab, so we can then put a box in here and store a lot more things. And then on the other side, we've got the spare wheel that we can then bring forward for a weight point of view, and we can also have an area to store all the what I call the dirty things, wood, bins, etc., etc. So this box here, we've put a couple of shelves at the top. It's not quite finished, so this is our first trip, and I've thought about some improvement that I will probably make moving forwards to make our life easier. But what I've done so far, I've put some elastics to just hold things into places. That part has been working very well, but it's more the storage at the back that I'm not too happy, so I will be reworking that.
So, and it...
Keith, you're an idiot.
Okay, this is where we got carried away inside the car. Okay, we bought these beautiful seats from Shieldman, and I've done about 6,000 Ks with them, and I haven't had the backache at all, and my buttocks don't hurt at all. All the interior, all the back wall with sound deadening, plus the stage 4 is a vinyl heat and sound deadening as well, so it's got 2 layers of sound deadening through the floor, the roof, the doors, and that's made a massive difference. We can actually talk. We've extended the gear stick. It just makes it much easier for me to change gear. Just extend it with a little extension there of about 2 inches. We've added a Department of Interior centre console. As you can see, it's just full of rubbish anyway. It gives you another storage area, which is a large box inside, an elbow room, elbow rest as well, which is nice with driving long distances. Change your position. We've also put 1 stone armrests on. I think everybody does. They're great. They just clip in. There's no grief. They don't come off. They're great, and they match perfectly the grey system throughout the car, colour system. We've also put Department of Interior. Is it Department of Interior? Yeah, it was Department. I think it's Department of Interior. Roof console. Just went for the front. Perhaps we should have gone the full length there to get a bit more storage. Although we don't put a lot up there, just glasses, wallets, things like that. We've got a scan gauge 2. It's the older one. I prefer this because the readings are constantly in front of me. With the OBD reader one that goes to your phone, you've got to monitor it on your phone, or you've got to monitor it on your screen, and I don't like doing that, so we just stick with this one. And I just have it on temperature, air temperature, water temperature, load, and the volts, so I can see that everything's charging okay. Fire extinguisher down the front of the driver's seat with the I forgot the name of the bracket that you buy there. We've got a tyre pressure monitor that Christine, as co-driver, monitors for me because it's too small for me to read, and it has no backlight. And
it has been handy though.
It does make you much aware of treatment of your tyres.
Yeah.
And what you're doing and pressures, etc.
Yeah.
Learnt a lot about how much the tyre pressure and temperature change during driving. You know, you can get 10 psi difference if they get hot enough. So it can make a soft tyre hard and a hard tyre harder.
Polaris, the Polaris radio.
Oh, Polaris screen here. And door pods, door pockets we added on as well.
Polaris is, I wouldn't recommend it. It's really buggy, right? The Bluetooth
drops out a lot.
Yeah, the Bluetooth connection is not reliable. It drops a lot. It freezes a lot. Maybe for someone who use an Android phone would be better. We use Apple phone, so we got to connect to it through AirPlay, and it's just not working very well. So and when we drive on corrugation, the screen keeps tilting forward. So as you can see, we do have to put some sort of sponges behind it to hold it in place. So I don't know how long.
But when I'm asked what I want for my birthday and Christmas, I'll say a Kenwood.
Right. Yeah.
Kenwood screen.
Yeah. And then we've got the constant rear vision mirror as well.
Again, that's from the iLux.
Yeah. Autovox.
Autovox, yeah.
And
it works.
It works okay.
Sometimes freezes.
Yeah.
Sometimes switches on and off on its own.
Yeah.
But generally okay. It has a camera there at front, so if there's any accident, it's constantly videoing as well. Yeah, we added a rear diff lock, not a front, just a rear.
Yeah.
The front is pretty weak, or weaker. If you put diff locks in and mistreat it, you can snap the axles.
Yep.
Where we've put the stronger axle in the back, plus the diff lock, it makes a really strong combination.
Exactly, yeah. And then on the side there, right next to steering wheel, you've got basically all your buttons. You've got
I've got the compressor, the winch in and out, and
the
the
fan.
thermo fan
Yep.
for the shroud.
So who's done what?
Baja have done the interior, Baja Automotive Brisbane. They've done the seats, the sound deadening, the winch, spotlights,
All the electronic, right?
all the electronics, the battery, the relay,
The alternator.
and the alternator.
Who's done the mechanical work?
Oh, my mate Lewis Mamino at Jonlin Automotives in Coorparoo, Brisbane. We've been with Lewis for 3 years and helped completely build the last car for us, and he's done all the mechanical work on this vehicle, all the bearings, the gearbox, the clutch, the diff, and he's done an awesome job. Nothing's come loose, nothing's failed.
And what we
Everything's
like
working.
about him is that he provides good advice, right?
Yeah,
And-
honest advice is he knows I'm no expert in mechanics, and we can discuss something and I can say what I want and he'll come up with the best solution for me, which is really good.
And then
And
the
he
tray.
specialises in 4x4, and the tray was built by Dynamic Engineering at Harvey Bay,
So tray and the small canopy.
and the canopy as well. George does all the fabricating for us at Harvey Bay. Any metal work really, any aluminium work, canopies or anything like that. Can't recommend them high enough. Customer service is A1.
All right, then finally inside the camper, nothing has changed there. We still got the bed, of course. We've got 2 on the bed drawers, which have been great to put all of our clothes in there. We still are using the kick-ass shower. Don't like it. Can't wait. Well, in a way, can't wait for it to stop functioning properly. And we will switch to an electrical system. If you do have any recommendation for one, just put it down in the comments, because we will definitely in the next 12 months we will be investigating what we can do. And also, if you can put some comments on where you've been fitting it in as well, I'll be very, very much interested. So that is it really. This is this complete the review of our new setup. So as you can see, still few things to improve on as always, but in terms of performance of the car, it is a chalk and cheese compared to the Hilux. Thank you for listening. We will see you in our next episode.